Hi, it's Jennifer Ryan here of Celtic Knot Crochet, and I hope you're able to join us this Friday. In my area, it's very humid and cloudy, but it's definitely getting close to summer. Since I live in New England, we have all four seasons, and summer is here. So when you join us, just make sure you say hi in the chat below, or if you're even watching the replay, I love to go back and read those and see where everybody's watching from. So just make sure to say hi down in the description below and say, I'm Patty and I'm watching from Texas, or I'm Maria and I'm watching from Spain. I'd love to see where everybody watches from. So if you're just joining us, I'm Jennifer Ryan of Celtic Knot Crochet, and I've been doing some tutorials here on Annie's Facebook page for last couple years, and I've been doing them lately on the fourth Friday of the month. And today I'm going to show you a project that combines crochet and fabric. So we'll also have a giveaway for the pattern. So someone who's watching again on the live or on one of the replays, you can enter the giveaway, and I'll tell you how to do that in a few minutes. So if you're just joining us, make sure you say hi in the chat below and say where you're watching from. We love to see where everyone joins in from. For me, I'm on the East Coast of the United States, so it's noon right around lunchtime. Maybe you're on your lunch break from work, or maybe it's later in the day for you because you're across the Atlantic Ocean, or maybe it's earlier and you just woke up. Just say hello as we make sure everything's all set to get started. Here is the project we'll be talking about today. It's called the Fabric Fusion Tote, because as you can see, the bottom is fabric and the top here is crochet. And I even lined the handles to help prevent them from stretching and to make them more sturdy and secure. Looks like someone's watching from Ontario. Let me see. Cindy, thanks for joining us from Illinois. So glad you could join us today. Sometimes I can see your comments and sometimes I have to wait till later. Thanks for joining us though. I'd love to see everybody here. So let's get started. This here is the Fabric Fusion Tote, and it uses a size 3 DK weight yarn, but you can use any yarn you like. Looks like somebody might be here from Thailand. Thanks for joining. This was featured in a magazine from several years ago, but you can still get the magazine issue as a digital download. So let me show you a few things about the project, and then I'll show you where you can get this pattern and how to enter the giveaway. And then for our tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do some of these stitches and give you kind of an inside peek on how I put this all together, how you combine the fabric with the crochet. Sometimes just looking at a picture or looking at text in a pattern can be difficult to understand. So you get the benefit of seeing a video and some 3D action here of how to put it all together. The top is what's crocheted, and it's only sewn on at the top. So there's this overlap, and I'll hold it close. There is a shell stitch right here, and then the yellow has some big popcorns. And then up in here, there's just some shaping, but very simple stitches. And the handles, same thing. Very simple decreasing, and then back and forth in a very thick basic stitch. I think it's half double crochet. The bottom is cotton fabric. Don't you just love these colors? I'm always partial to fabrics with flowers. And there are so many beautiful fabrics out there. And then the closure, I'll show this again when I flip my camera too, is Velcro. And I lined it with a nice pink because I hate trying to find stuff in the bottom of my bag because it's black. So when you have a light colored lining, it just helps you find your things better. So that's the Fabric Fusion tote. Thanks for your comments. And this is where it's from. Crochet magazine from spring 2015. But thanks to technology, you can go on anniescatalog.com and type in Crochet Magazine Spring 2015, and you can buy it instantly as a digital download, and you'll get all 25 patterns just like that, including this one. Inside, you can see it in here. And it has all the details about how much yarn you need, the hook you're going to use. There's even a stitch diagram, which is helpful for some people who like those. And a nice added bonus to this project that I actually had forgotten about because 2015 was a while ago, is there is a tutorial I wrote. So there is a nice article inside here with photos to show you all the different steps of adding the fabric, because I know a lot of crocheters do other crafts, but not everybody does. So there's a nice article in here that shows you step by step how to put it all together in case you're not confident in the sewing. It's a very simple sewing and a very basic sewing project to just do the bottom half of the bag. So why don't I flip my camera so I can show you. Oh, but first, that's right, don't want to forget about the giveaway. So we will give away an instant digital download for this whole magazine. So you get this project pattern, the article that's inside, plus 24 other great spring/summer projects. And all you have to do is in the chat below answer this question. You ready? Which is bigger, your yarn stash or your fabric stash? So I've been designing crochet for about a little over 10 years. And before I started designing crochet, I would have told you that my fabric stash was way bigger than my yarn stash because my daughters were little and I was sewing them dresses and all kinds of cute little shorts and skirts and outfits to match. But now that I've been crocheting, designing and teaching for over 10 years, my yarn stash has way overshadowed my fabric stash. So right now, my yarn stash is bigger than my fabric stash. So let us know in the comments below, which one is bigger for you, yarn stash or fabric stash? Your answer to that question could win you this magazine, and you could get a free pattern from our project today. So don't forget to put that in below and be looking via Facebook Messenger. I'll randomly pick someone who's answered that question, and then I'll send you a message and say you won, and you just have to send me a reply and we'll work things out for you to get your prize. I see somebody said fabric is bigger than their yarn stash. Now, if you do have a big fabric stash, then you probably have small amounts of fabric that you might be able to use for this project. There are different ways that you can go about picking things, but if your fabric stash is huge, I would pick a yard. You need less than a yard really of fabric. I would pick the fabric first, take that to the craft store and pick your yarn. But if your yarn stash is huge, then you could do it the other way. Pick yarns that you like that go together, that are a similar weight, similar fiber, and see, once you take them to the craft store, if you can find some fabric that matches. That's what I did. I started with the yarn, and then I went to the store and found a fabric that matched. And like I said, there's so many fabrics that most likely that's the way to go, because even though yarn has come a long way in the last several years, there's still so many more fabrics to choose from. So let me flip the camera, because I'm going to show you how to do the shell stitch, and there's an easy little technique of how to do them so they pop and there's more texture. We love texture. So let me flip it up. You're going to see my ceiling. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. So here's a little swatch, and I'll show you again on the actual bag. The bottom edge here has the shell stitch. You see that there? And see how they pop out? So there's a really easy way to make them pop. I'll show you that. So I started the row with a single crochet, and then I skipped 2 stitches and I did 5 double crochets in the next stitch. And I would continue that across the whole row. So I skip 2, then in the next stitch, normally I would put my hook under both loops like this, but for this project we're going to put our hook into the back loop only, and I'm going to work the single crochet. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. And so we have a single crochet, the shell, single crochet. Now I repeat, skip 2. In the next stitch, I'm going to do 5 double crochets. So I have to yarn over, put my hook in that stitch through the back loop, yarn over, pull through the stitch, 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through 2, and through 2. And that's 1 double crochet, and we're going to do 4 more. 3 loops, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. By cramming all these stitches into one little stitch, it creates that fan shape or shell stitch. So I've just done 4, and I'm going to do 1 more. Yarn over, hook into the back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. See how they spread out? They have nowhere else to go but out. All their feet are in the same place, and the tops can fan out and create that really pretty scallop that is very popular with crochet. Then I would skip 2, single crochet again, skip 2, and then do 5 more. I'm going to do these quicker. Now, obviously, I'm using a much larger hook and larger yarn than you would use for the project, but this is to help you see it better. Skip 2, and then in my last stitch, put a single crochet. And there you have the first row of the shell stitch. Now, for the second row, you're going to fit the shells in between each other. I'm just going to show you the beginning so you get the hang of that. So you're going to do 3 chains at the beginning, and we're going to keep working in that back loop. So here's that first single crochet. We're going to yarn over and put 2 double crochets in there. It gives us half of a shell. Then we're going to skip 2 double crochets, and we're going to work our single crochet right here into the middle double crochet of the shell. So there's 5 shells. The middle one is number 3. Now we skip the next 2 double crochets and we look for that single crochet. And then we're going to do 5 double crochets in the single. This is a great stitch to do when you're watching TV, because all you have to do is look for that center double crochet and that little single crochet, and you can cruise along, not needing to count except for your 5 double crochets. So it's a great one to use for blankets. Here we are at our next shell. I want to find my middle double crochet, put my hook into the back loop only, and do a single. And I would just continue like that. See how the back loop only makes the shells pop? I love how that happens, see? Now what you can also do, and what this project calls for, is along the bottom edge, you can do another row of shells. And I'll show you how to do that real quick. And you can do this on other projects. So I would start at the base of one of the shells across that first row there and put a single crochet. Again, this yarn doesn't match up, but I wanted you to see nice and big. And I would do it the same way as I did the others. Skip 2 and then do 5 doubles right here in the next stitch. And you'll see that gives a nice mirror shell to the ones that are in the bulk of the fabric. And then I would skip 2, 1, 2, and then single crochet in the next one. So you have shells going this way for your main fabric, and then along the edge you do the same method to add a shell edging. And I'll show you where that shows up on the bag. So here are the shells that we just did going this way, and then after you finish it, you come back and put more shells in between going the opposite direction. I think it has a really nice look to it. So let me show you. That was that stitch. Here are popcorns. This is all explained in the pattern. But let me just show you a few things about how I put this together. So according to the instructions, you'll make 2 of these tops of the bag. There are a few color changes, and like I said, you just follow the directions for how to decrease, and then you make all the way up to half of the handle. So you'll go up to this side, and then you'll go from here up to this side, and then you'll sew them together with the yarn to make the handle on each side. Then separately, you make the bottom part of your bag. And all the instructions are there for how wide to make it, but you can do whatever you like with the bottom. I made mine so it went out a little bit at the bottom, so it was a little wider, but you can do it straight. And then I also included some pleats, which just means I folded it over and then sewed it down. And that way it gives it that nice shape. And then when I was ready, I sewed with my sewing machine right through my crochet fabric. Right in the chat, if you've ever used your sewing machine, you can see one of my threads right here. If you've ever used your sewing machine to sew your crochet project. I know it sounds a little scary, but it works really well if you're careful and slow. So I actually have sewing from my sewing machine going right through this pink part, but you can't see it. But by sewing it with the machine, it's nice and sturdy. That's not going anywhere. And then I added a few little pieces just for a nice finishing touch. After I did the rectangular bottom, I made a template with the matching fabric, folded it under, and did a whip stitch to sew the fabric to the inside of the handle. This is optional, but since it's cotton yarn, that often stretches, and it just gives it a nice finishing look, don't you think? And I also included in the article and in the pattern is recommendations for how to add the lining. It's just basically 2 layers of fabric. It's just 2 different colors. And I added a band of hook and loop tape, but you can add a button, you could add snaps, and then you have your completed fabric fusion tote. And like I mentioned, if you have a lot of yarn, you might want to pool your yarn together, pick some colors that you really like. Like I picked this blue, yellow, dark pink. Looks more red, I know, but it's really a dark pink and a light pink. And then I went to the store and walked around, and I think I had 1 or 2 other yarn colors too. But this fabric just called to me. I loved this fabric, and I really hoped that it would work, and I could tell that there were all the colors in there. Dark pink, light pink, there's a little bit of yellow in here, a little bit of yellow here, and the blue. So I love combining crafts, and I thought this would be a fun project to share with you today. So I'm going to turn my camera back around. You can see my ceiling for a second there. All right, so hope you learned something today. If nothing else, maybe you learned that your love of fabric and sewing and your love of crochet can actually come together to make something unique and special, maybe a gift or something for yourself. Sometimes we see fabric or we see yarn that we just have to have, but we don't know what we're going to use it for. So maybe this would be that project. Maybe you saw some beautiful fabric and you bought a yard or 2 and said, oh, I just have to have it. Don't know what I'm going to make with it, but I just have to have it. This would be a great project because it's small, it's quick, and then you can carry it around with you and show it off and enjoy it each day that you use it. So don't forget to answer the question for the giveaway in the chat below. What's bigger, your yarn stash or your fabric stash? And make sure you enter by Tuesday the 31st, and I'll go through and pick someone randomly and message you and let you know if you won. So make sure to check your messages on Wednesday. Thanks again for joining. I'm glad you could be here with us today. And next time I'll be sharing a baby project. So make sure you come back at the end of June, and I'll see you then. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye.